very basic commands or how we can use that. And every time or every place that you want to ask me or question, you can ask me, or in the final, if I have time, I will go to a practical example and I will show you how we can submit a job and how we can actually get access to GPUs on Computer Canada if we had time. Okay, so let me, the first thing that we actually want to know, it's logging in Compute Canada. You can, as I said, you can actually connect to Cedar or Graham with your user ID. Each user ID that you actually has with this command SSH, you can actually access with SSH to Cedar Graham computer. When you connect in your Graham, for example, you can go to your home directory. You are by default in your home directory, and you can see these folders at start. Okay, so what are those folders? You can actually get some report by using this command, this usage reports, and beside the folders that you can see your space and number of files. So what are those folders and what we can do with those? So because they are so important, because at the first I have a problem, I solved it with actually looking at the Computer Canada repository to see what is happening, but it's good to know about them. The home directory, actually, when you are in your home directory, it's made to seem like that it's a logical place to store all your files and do all your work. But in general, this isn't the case. Your home normally has a relatively small space, and this is actually not especially good performance for all of your writing and reading of your large amounts of data. So in your home directory, you can actually save your source code or small parameters of files, or I just use home directory for creating a virtual environment that I can actually show you in the next slides. Project directory actually is a space that has a significantly large space, and it is well adapted to sharing data among members of research group. And it's unlike to home or other scraps that I will show you, or Nearline. It's linked to a professor's account, and you can see here in that it's linked to our professor's account. And the Scratch directory or Nearline directory, actually, they are similar to project, but they are for intensive read or writing operations. You can use Scratch for those goals. But remember that, however, that important files must be copied from Scratch, because the files will not back it up there for actually when you want to use it in long time. And older files will be subject to actually deleted or purging. So storage should therefore only be used to transient files. And here you can see that for home directory, you have 53 gigabyte of space. And for Scratch or project, you have, for example, for a Scratch, you have a larger space is from a Scratch folder. It's about 20 terabyte. And for project and Nearline, you have 1 terabyte. This is just a report from my own computer. And the number of files that you can actually copy or move there, you can see here about 500,000 files for home, and other have actually you can see in the right side. And at the end I will actually share this slide with you. You can actually access to all of this information every time that you want. Okay, But the important thing, the available hardware in Compute Canada, I just actually listed here the Cedar and Graham hardwares. You can connect in each of them. In Cedar, the important thing that you have to actually consider that we have 4 GPUs for this P100, P100L, and V100L. That P100 has 12 gigabyte of RAM. This is for GPU, and P100L has 16 gigabyte, and V100L has a larger one, it's 32 gigabytes. So you can use each of them or every of them that you want. And I will show you how we can use that, how we can use all of the GPUs in the node. And you have to know that, for example, this P100 in both Graham and Cedar have 114 nodes. It means that there are more GPUs of these cases, and if you use those GPUs in your project, it will show that it will actually mean that you will have less waiting time when you want to use this P100. And if you go actually for powerful, maybe it's not actually, I don't know, the waiting time, it's actually, maybe it's depend how others actually using those GPUs. But I actually saw that when I wanted to use a complete node, my waiting time actually get farther, and I have to wait more time for that. So we will come back to this slide, or we'll show you how to can use those available hardwares. Okay, and let's go to the modules and softwares. In Compute Canada, you can access to every module that they actually they are just available in their server, and you can get access to all of those modules or softwares by using this command: module avail or available, and you can actually immediately you can see all of those modules. But for us, we actually all maybe using Python, because our project all depend on Python and GPU. So in this actually we specifically just talk about Python, and you can actually get more information about all of those softwares in Compute Canada. I will actually share with you if you want the document for that. So for Python, you can get information about what a specific version of Python is available on Compute Canada in both Graham and Cedar. It may be different, but I actually didn't see any difference between, at least for Python modules in both Graham and Compute Canada. So this is just in this screenshot from my own computer. Here you have 2.7 and other version of Python. Maybe your specific project need a specific version of Python. So you can see here all the specific version of those Python. And by default, you have to actually keep in mind that by default, the default version of Python when you log in on your Compute Canada is Python 2.7, and you have to be actually completely keep it in your mind. Maybe, for example, nowadays our project need, or maybe we want to use a GitHub repository for our project or create on our own project. So right now 2.7 is not actually available, and we have to use Python version 3. So you have to actually change the default version of Python to Python version of 3. So how we can change it? By using this command: module load Python / and you can specify which version you want. For example, here I want to create a Python of version 3.6 by just using this command, and the system automatically actually create or load the Python 3.7 for you, 3.6 for you, and you can use that. And other thing that you have to actually know about this Compute Canada, that in Compute Canada you can install Conda or Anaconda, and for using a virtual environment for your specific project. For example, you have lots of projects, and every project maybe use a specific package of Python or package of a code. So you have to actually create a virtual environment for that. And after that, you load your version of Python that you want. You can create a virtual environment by this command, virtual env. This is actually completely by default is available on Python in Compute Canada. Virtual env, no download. You can use that or don't use that. It's not very actually important. But here I want to create a virtual environment by the name VIP at home directory. So by using that, the virtual environment actually will be created. And if you want to load or use that virtual environment, you can use this command, source VIP, and go to the bin folder and then activate those VIP. After actually activating the specific virtual environment, you can see that this actually VIP and env will be show you in your terminal, in your command window. And in Compute Canada, most of the important packages that you maybe want to use for your project is available. They are already actually downloaded them, and you can actually access those wheels format and install them. For installing for those actually packages that are available, you can use pip install. And the first thing that you have to actually keep in mind, that the first thing is to actually upgrade your pip, because for installing our package, all of you know that we're using pip, but the pip packages that we use for installing it by default is, I think it's about 9 or 10 version that is old, and you have to use the newer version. So the first thing that you have to actually keep in mind to upgrade your pip, so we can upgrade it by this command, no index. So no index here, because maybe you did actually haven't seen this no index in your previous installing packages. So it means that by using no index in your command, you don't using the package from PyPy, from where actually nowadays we install our, for example, we want to install site Torch or Torch Vision, it goes to the PyPy's website and install from that. So by that you actually don't use the PyPy. So you by default you're using the Compute Canada resources or server. So for example, I here installed the NumPy by using this command, and you can actually use those commands for a file of packages that you want to install for your project that you want to use in Compute Canada by using the R requirement.txt file that you have already. And after you install your packages, you can disable your virtual environment by this command, deactivate. So this is just for creating and using the virtual env in Compute Canada. And here you can see how we can install TensorFlow CPU or GPU or PyTorch in your actually in your Compute Canada or in our virtual environment that we created. I actually look at the TensorFlow and Torch. I saw that most of the version that we want, they are already available, and you don't need actually to install it from without using noindex. And I highly recommend that use noindex for installing, because they actually recommended that. And I saw that when you don't use the noindex label for installing a specific package, you will be maybe get some error when you want to run your code. For example, if your code is you need a specific version of Torch, because these Wheels files are compatible with the CUDA version, because we don't have access to CUDA version and change it, and we don't have access to actually most of the softwares that maybe in your personal computer we can change it, or we can actually install different version of that. But in Compute Canada, you don't access maybe in more of those packages that we want to change in our computer. So you can use those command for TensorFlow, and they actually recommended that don't install the TensorFlow package without using CPU or GPU. So if you want to use the CPU version of TensorFlow, you have to use this suffix underline CPU, and if you want to use the GPU, you have to actually use the GPU version of this TensorFlow label. And for PyTorch, you can just install Torch, and it will install the latest version of PyTorch. And if you want to use a specific version of PyTorch, you can use what we install what we actually use for installing a specific version of PyTorch in our personal computer. So this is just for actually creating the PyTorch and TensorFlow. And the most important thing here about the submitting jobs, how we can submit a jobs, and how we can create a job file and submit that. So in this slide, you see a sample job that I created that I want to use that to run my this main2.py code in my machine. So all of jobs have to actually should be the first one, this hashbang command that all of you maybe know about that. And for creating a command for a specific memory or CPU or GPU, you have to include this hashtag sbatch. For example, here we want to actually use the account that we are actually right now are using is specified with this def.jselect. So you have to actually specify that for your job file. And here for GPU, you can use this command, gres is equal to GPU. Here I requested to actually use 2 GPU. When you don't specify I will show you an example how you can access to a specific GPU of Compute Canada, but here I didn't actually specify that. So the default will be P100. I want to use 2 GPU of that. That's they are 12 giga, I think, yeah, 12 gigabyte. And this command show you how much memory you want to use. We want to use per every CPU 1 gigabyte of memory. So you can actually specify the memory that you want. If you don't want to actually use a memory per CPU, you can use just this general command memory. So it use all memory that you want to use for that specific node that you want to submit, or all the node that you want to use, all the memory that you want to use for your project. And so it's specified for memory, and you have to be consider that you have 32 gigabyte of memory in Cedar and 64 gigabyte of memory in general for in Graham. And this command will show you the time, how much the time or how much day or hours that you want to use for your project to be run in actually in Compute Canada hardwares. So the first value here show the days, how much days. The second one actually show you the hours, how much hours do you want, and then the minutes. For example, here we want to use we want to submit this sample.sh for 5 minutes, or just run it for 5 minutes. So this example will show you how much time do you want to actually use to submit your sample.sh or every name that you want to submit in Compute Canada. And you have to actually completely sure, or you have to know about what time your project maybe need for running. And if you use less time for running, it may be just stop, and the running will stop, and it will know if you don't use, for example, if you want to use the GPU, you have to actually specify that in every epoch or 2 or 3 epoch, you have to save your checkpoints. Maybe if you don't use the right time, I mean the correct time, for example, your project maybe maybe need 3 days, but you specified, for example, 2 days here, and you didn't save your checkpoint. So so you have to keep in mind that you have to save your outputs or checkpoints in every epoch, or in every iteration, or some iteration that you know, maybe if you don't know the exact time for that. And with this command, you will actually use the number of CPUs in each node, or in each task. It means I want to use 6 CPUs for my this command. So you can actually change it in each number of or value of CPU if you want. And with this command that is optional, we want to get the output of our running batch in as a out format in our current project that will be specified. I will show you an example with a number of those. This is the job ID. When you submit your batch, it will actually give you a job ID. So you can use that for showing or giving the results, or cancel that in every time that you want. So this actually for the job ID, and this is just for the number of the ID that the Graham or Cedar will specify for you, that you are, for example, the number of 66 or every number that you are using in the Graham. So I will show you an example to completely understand what is my mean for that. But this is just an optional. And after you specify the number of GPU or CPU or memory that you wanted, after that you can use the code or the files that you want to run through the Compute Canada servers or just hardwares. So here, first I activated my virtual environment, for example, the virtual environment that I created in our home directory, and then I run the main2.py file that it existed in the sample.sh repository that I'm currently using, the sample.sh. So you have to use the sample.sh if you want to run the specific file that you want to run it. So these two files have to be in the same directory. And the important thing that you have to keep in your mind is that your .sh file or your job file have to be in your project directory. If you want to run this sample.sh, for example, in your in your home directory, it give you an error. So you have to keep in mind that you have to create your sample.sh in your project directory or your sketch directory. So this is just for some example for how we can actually create some batch, and we want to later use it for running our project. And yes, you can get some notification if you want. You can just add these commands in your sbatch file, for example, the sample.sh file that I showed you. And when your actually job it start to running, or it failed or ended, you can get some notification in your email. You have to specify your email here with mail user. And if you want to get notification in beginning of when your file is started to running with this begin command, and if you want to get notification at the end of your project is finished, and if you want to get notification for fail, and this is just other things that you want to actually get notification. For example, if you use this command, you will get notification in actually when your batch is started or ended, or get any output in running time. So this is just email notification. If you don't use that, you have to go to your login page again and see the output of those running sbatch that will actually be in your project directory, and you can get the results or output of your running. And another important thing, how we can use GPUs, because all of us, we want to use GPUs. So this is important to know how we can use a GPU or two GPU or a specific node of GPU. And here I actually want to discuss about how we can use GPU. As we discussed it, for GPUs, you have to use this command, GPU column, and after that column, you have to specify which type of GPU you want to request. For example, here I requested one GPU of this type, P100 in Cedar or in Graham, because both have P100 GPUs. If you want to use two GPU, for example, here I requested two GPUs of V100. So just very simple. We wanted to use two GPU. And if you want to use Tesla GPUs, for example, they're specified with T4, you can use this command T4. For example, you wanted to request a T4 GPU here, or every number of GPUs that you want. And you can request a complete node in Cedar or in Graham, and you can use that complete node, because if each node is contains or includes of multiple GPUs that actually I showed you in the first slide of available hardwares. And here you can see an example of a complete node of P100 60 gigabyte. We have two P100, P100L and P100 just P100. The P100 GPUs have 12 gigabyte and P100L GPUs have 16 gigabytes. So here we can see that the GPUs that we want are P100L that have 16 gigabytes. I wanted to completely use all four GPUs that are available in this node. And because I want to completely use all of GPUs, I included another command here. I want to use the complete node only for myself. So I use this command, nodes equal to 1. You can you can use this command, or you can't use this command, or if you want. But by using this command, I saw that my actually jobs start because I tested that I don't need to actually wait a longer time. The job will start actually in a shorter time. So if you want to use a complete jobs, you have to remember that include these nodes in your batch file. And here I wanted to use all of this 24 CPUs that available on that node. And if you put 0 in your memory node, in your memory command, it requests the full memory of that node. It means you want to use all of that memory. And I want to use that for example, in 3 hours. And I have to specify the account. For example, here you have to use dev-j select for your actually, because we are all maybe in your professor's project. And after that, you can use your command. For example, here I just wanted to test the NVIDIA SMI to see the results, how this actually command using the GPUs. And after you actually created your .sh file for your jobs, you can send it in Graham or Compute Canada's hardware by this command. So this is the other command that is so important, and we will use that in all of the cases that we want to run our project. So this is just very simple: sbatch sample.sh. This sample.sh is the file that we created already, and it contains all the GPUs and all the other hardware that we want specifically for our own project. After this command, you can see that it will show you that your job is submitted with this ID. So this ID is this specific ID for your this sample.sh jobs that you submitted. So after that we submit our job, we can see that our job is running or is just pending. We can see the status of our jobs by this command sq or just this sq. You can see that your project is running or just in the waiting to run. For example, here, this job ID that I created here, it's pending here. It means that you have to wait. You're just in the waiting queue to be run. And after running, it will show you that your file is running. And immediately you can see some results at the output file that I will show you in the next slide. And in any time, you can cancel your jobs, because maybe sometimes you want to cancel your jobs and submit another job, or you can submit as much job as you want. You can cancel your job by this command, cancel job ID. That this is, for example, here, this is the job ID that we want to cancel. And you want to cancel all of your jobs. For example, you may be running multiple jobs, and if you want to cancel all of your jobs, you can use this command, cancel -u user. It will cancel all of your jobs file. Okay, job output. The job output will be something like this: slarm job ID.out. The default for for output file would be something like that if you don't use this command here. If you forgot, don't be worried, because it will be created by default as in slarm at the beginning, and the job ID for your specific job for your project, and it would be in your project file. Here you can see that here my other files for my project, and this file, that out file, is created for me. And if you use this command in your job.sh or sample.sh files, it will show you just by this output, GRA. It means that we are in Graham, and this is just a number that for your file, and this is just job ID. This is job ID that it's created by sbatch command. And here in the right file, you can see the output file for my job ID for this this output file. You can see that this is just the output of my job ID. So you can see what is going on the output that you want, or the results of your code that you want to see. Okay, and another important thing that you actually have to know is that maybe or at least we, after outputting or after getting the result of our batch or job, we may want to transfer our files in our computer, or maybe we have some data set in our computer, we want to transfer it from my computer to Graham. So for transferring file, you can use the SCP command. SCP, you can get access through SSH, or just this is just SSH copying command that you can actually move your files from your computer to one of those Graham or Cedar servers. For example, here I want to move the log.txt file in my home directory at IC15 folders. So you have to actually use the same command that you wanted to log in to your Graham, for example, here. And then this, you have to actually keep in your mind that these columns that specify which directory or which file at which directory you want to transfer. For example, here I want to transfer log.txt in this directory. Yeah, in this directory. And yeah, and for transferring files from your computer to Graham, you can use this command. Just you can change the place of these two destination and source files. For example, I want to copy from this file checkpoint.pth from my home directory in IC15 folder in this directory that I want. And one of the another important thing, maybe you want to see what is going on the GPUs and what is the status of the GPUs that you are using, what RAM they are actually consuming, and what memory or what is the other specification that you want, that you can use this command NVIDIA SMI with you want to watch the status of your GPUs. But in Compute Canada, you can use this command srun, the job ID. Here I use this job ID, for example, and pty watch and this actually show you the second or the time that you want in second. For example, I want to get a status of my GPUs in each second, and then NVIDIA-SMI. So here, actually here you can see that I use 4 GPUs, and these are the other information that I want. For example, they use 4 GPUs with this percentage of percentages of GPU utility, and these are the memory of those GPUs that I'm currently using in for example, in Graham or Cedar Computer, Computer Canada, and other information that you want. And I will show you some tips and tricks that I actually.
What about opening questions, or is it, how much left is?
I just have two slides actually. I have just
Slides? Okay.
two slides, yeah.
Sure.
And I will, if I will go to a practical example. Yeah. This editor, the default editor in Compute Canada, I know most of you know that as we have in Linux, the Nano and Vim, or Vim or NeoVim, but Vim, we have Vim in Compute Canada, Nano and Vim, that you can use as an editor for changing the codes or something that you want to write some codes in Compute Canada. I actually bring some, here you can see some links that some tutorial links for these two specific editor, that because we have to use those editor in we want to use the Compute Canada. And if you want, you can use VS Code and connect to Compute Canada through VS Code. And if you are not it is hard for you to actually use Vim or Nano as an editor, or if you want to see the results of, for example, you want to see the results as an image, because most we are actually working at computer vision, and we have to work with images. So we, in most of time, or in we actually working with images. So VS Code, I think it would be a very good software to connect to Compute Canada or Graham or Cedar, and see your results and see your for example, graphic things that you maybe have, and you can copy or paste or everything that you can actually do in your computer with this VS Code. I bring for you an example, and you can access to those VS Code by SSH remote. If you want, I will show you. And these are just some configuration, how we can connect. You can just put this configuration in your SSH file, in your VS Code configuration, and just connect. And this is the last slides. If you, maybe most of times we are working with large data set or with large files. For example, here I wanted to actually just move these large files. There are 3 gigabyte and 19 gigabyte that they are existed in the project repository in GitHub that I wanted to use or just wanted to test, or I want to actually use those data sets. But these data sets are large and they are in Drive, Google Drive. And if you know, you can't actually use Google Drive by using just wget, because if we want to copy or just use those files, once actually one thing it would be to download those files and just use SCP to transfer those files. But we know that Google Drives are using very good internet connection, and using those internet connection for downloading those files in through our Compute Canada, it would be great. So how we can download those large files, because most of time Google will not allow you to just download it directly. So here, the file that I want to download, for example, this file, I just start downloading. And before to actually explain that, you have to actually download, because all of this point of this slide is to how we can download. So this is an extension in Google Chrome, because we all maybe using Google Chrome, or at least you can use any things, but But for downloading these files, you have to use Google Chrome. You have to add this curl wget extension in Google Chrome. After adding, it will appear some icon here, and the files that I want to download, for example, here I click and start to downloading. When the file start to download, I stop it immediately and go to this icon and just copy this command and paste it, or just transfer it in your terminal in the Graham, and that's it. And you can download it any files in any website that you want. Okay, that is just the end of my slides. If you have any question, I'm ready. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Zobeir. Really, it was really informative. Would you like, if you want to go through a practical example, or to ask now questions, to start asking now?
I don't know. If you want, we can go to a practical example, a practical sample, and connect through connect to, for example, Graham through my computer, and I will show you. But if you have any question before I go to that part, because I think we still have some times.
Okay, seems anyone want to talk? Your microphones are off. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Zobeir. Thank you very much. I think if we can go to an example, that would be great.
Okay, I can. Yeah, I can go. Yeah.
Thanks, Zobeir.
So, yeah. So, you're seeing my terminal?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you open your terminal in Linux, or I don't know how to actually use terminal in Windows, but I saw some actually tutorial if you want, if anybody are using Windows. But after you open your terminal, other tutorials or other actually commands are the same. So I want to connect, for example, to Graham. So I use SSH. For example, this is my user ID, and then connect. Let me. Yeah. Then enter your password. Okay. So we are in Graham. So you can see your, for example, here I can see the folders or files in my home directory, and you can see the projects and scratch files that maybe they are in your you can see just these folders in your home directory, but other files are just created by myself for my project. So, but if you want to create a project, you have to go to your project file. For example, here I'm going to my project file, and for sure this, and you have to go to your own folder. So this is my folder, and we have to actually create a virtual environment for using because we are using Python. So the important thing that you have to keep in mind that the default Python version, let me to see here, the default Python version is Python 2.7. So you have to change it to Python Python version 3, because 2.7 is not actually using after 2020, or maybe they actually put it here because maybe you have old codes or project that maybe using 2.7 version of Python, but you most of files or most of codes right now are using Python version 3. So how we can change it? We can use module load Python when you actually use that and press tab, you can see all of the Python versions that are available right now on Graham server. So for example, I want to use Python 3. For example, 7, 3.7 or 3.6. So this is just, yeah. And if you check right now, the Python version would be 3.7. So after that, you have to actually, you can use the Python right now for your code if you have a specific code that you want to actually just run it. But for most of cases, we want to actually use Compute Canada for running a very big or large amount of data with large GPUs. So those projects maybe need a specific version of virtual, a specific version of Python packages. So I recommend that you have to create a virtual environment for that. So for virtual environment, you can use this command, virtual env no download, and you can go to the home directory. For example, I want to create a VIP env or any name that you want, and virtual, so you have to wait to just this directory created. Yes, and you can active that by using this command source. For example, the folders that I created right now in home directory and VIP folder. So I go to the VIP folder and the bin folder and then activate. So you can see that here we know activated or virtual environment, and the virtual environment that I want to use is VIP. And you can see what packages of actually are available right now or installed. So because I already used Pip, maybe the newest version of Pip is installed for me. So, but maybe this is not the case for you. So you have to upgrade the Pip by this command: install pip install no index. It means that it uses Compute Canada servers for installing the Pip, and I want to upgrade that because I already have that. Upgrade Pip. Yes, I have to no index. Let me. Or let me Pip install.
Yeah, there is a typo in index.
Index, yeah, this is a typo in index, yeah. Yeah. Upgrade, I think it is U. Yeah, yeah, it is U. So for upgrade, you have to use this command, U. Okay, so install the pip, and you can see right now the pip installed. So if you want to install in a specific version of, for example, NumPy, because we don't have NumPy, we can use pip install no index NumPy. So it install NumPy for you. If you look, they are actually looking for the NumPy in Compute Canada. This is the link, but you can install for example, you want to install SciPy, but without using the Compute Canada servers, because maybe most of the time you have a specific version of package that they are not available. It may be happen for you. I don't have any actually specific package right now in my mind, but it may be happen for you. So for installing those, we can just install it in what we actually using in our computer. Pip install, for example, SciPy. So it can go first. It actually go to the Compute Canada first for to see if this package is already there. It install from that. But if that package is not existed in Compute Canada, it will go to the PyPy and install for you. And another thing that you have to keep in your mind that you have to actually, or I can recommend that you have to actually create or install all of your packages that you want to just, for example, you want to just use that for submitting your jobs, because the Compute Canada servers do not access to the internet when you submitted your jobs. Right now you have access to internet, but later when you submit it, they don't have access to some packages. So you have to completely sure that your code is not using any downloading file from internet, because you will get error on that case. So you have to create, and you will be completely sure that you are actually created and your code is working, and you can test your code without using without submitting the jobs. I can show you an example that I created already. For example, here I can go to my one of my projects that I already created. For example, here, yes, I created project already. That these are the files that you can see here, and you can use this command to actually just cut, for example, demo.sh to see what are actually existed in a code file. For example, here I'm using a batch batch file with name demo to submit that. So let me show you. For example, here I wanted to submit a job with 1 GPU and 6 CPUs with 32 gig of RAM and 3 hours, and the output would be in this format of output. And first, for example, this CODA and CODA-NN are available on the Compute Canada if you want to use or load CODA or CODA-NN. But in most of time, the CODA and CODA-NN will be installed with TensorFlow or PyTorch by default. And then you go to active your virtual environment. For example, my virtual environment here is named Clova. I activate that, and then I run my code. My code maybe use in a specific of sys values or sys or just some command. So I just use that here, and then I can start that. But I can also let me active this virtual environment and active my own virtual environment that I want to use by using this command source Clover bean and activate. So I can just copy here and see the results of my codes. So it's just using the CPU of my current computer that are available for me. But if your code or your project want to use GPU, the GPU are not available right now. But for using GPU, you have to submit your job. So let me to show you an example. The job that I want to submit, for example, this is the job that I want to submit. So let me to, for example, just show you how to create a job, or how we can actually edit a job or edit a file by this Vim or Nano. You can not use Nano, for example, the job that I want to create or edit, maybe something like that. So you can use Nano, and for example, I want to change 3 hour to 4 hour, and I want, for example, I want to just don't want to use this command because they are already actually loaded with PyTorch that I installed in my virtual environment. And then I want to save it. So I press Control X and yes. So I just edit or created my file that I want to submit. Or you can use VI. Maybe you haven't used Vim. So by this command, vi demo .sh, because most of them you have to use this command. So you can also edit that by pressing I and edit, because Vim is different from Nano in editing a file. You have to know some commands, but I shared with you a link that this is a complete tutorial that how we can use in a basic way by Vim. So this is VI. So I want to just save it by this command W and Q. So it save it, and after that I want to submit this demo.sh file that I created. So I will use this command sbatch and then demo.sh. So my job is submitted to Graham computer or Graham servers, and this is the ID. You can see the ID here. So how we can see the status of my job? You can use this command sq. It will show you the job ID, that here this is the job ID, the user, and other information that you want. The name, the status is pending right now, and you have to wait, for example, for 4 hours. This is in the format of hour and minute and second. And it will be after actually starting, it will show you here that your file is running. And it may be start about 5 or 10 minutes because I'm just using one GPU, and most of time when you want to use just a very simple or just low hardware, it will start immediately. And if you want to cancel that job, you can use this command scancel job ID. So here I can I can enter job ID that I want to cancel. 4078. So it will cancel this actually submitted job. So again, if I want to see, there is no job for me right now. Yes. And these are actually just some common thing that you maybe want to use for submitting or creating virtual environment in your actually in your project or for your project. Okay, if you have a specific question, I can show you, because I just show it very quickly. If you want a specific question, I can show you with more details right now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Zobeir. Very informative and very detailed. So thank you very much for your time also, and everyone. So anyone has a question, can you open the microphone, ask? Yeah, Bo. Yeah, can go ahead.
Hey, Zobeir. First of all, thanks a lot for the presentation. It's very, very helpful. Just have a question. Like, how much computation power do we have as a team? And say I have a job, you have a job. How are we gonna, like, do we have separate GPU, or we only have one GPU as a team?
No, they are just when you want to submit a job. I think you can just use form. Actually, not completely sure that how I can. But this is just my thought. You can use any kind of GPU that are available for you. This is not actually any limitation for a group or for a specific. Actually, for example, for our case, we are in project. We are in group with professor. So this is just the same for all of the users. So you can use any available GPU, any memory, or anything that you want.
Like we don't have an upper limit. We can just pretty much select whatever we want, and then we can run in parallel.
Yeah, in parallel. Yeah,
oh,
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my question. Thanks.
Yeah, another question. If you, thank you for your question. That
Yeah. Any other question? Okay. So maybe you can, you can reach out to Zobeir if you would like have any additional feedback. We were recording the session. I don't know how to share it. Maybe I will see if I can share with you like a YouTube URL unlisted. So it just will be between us as a group. So, and Zobeir, I think you have something?
Yeah, can I just say, so yeah, you said that you can share the video. Can you also share the PDF of the slides, or?
Yeah, I can share. Yeah, I can share the
okay.
PDF. If you actually just give me your emails in this in the chat, I can share it right now, or I can just add more things if you want, or we can actually just we can share it by yourself, because this PowerPoint in just in Google Slide, we can just enrich it, each of us, so everyone just want to use that later. So yeah, I can share it right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Speaking of that, sorry, Sina, go ahead.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the video, if we can have it, that would be really great.
I will edit the video and I can share you maybe in YouTube, or I can share this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Any other question?
Sorry, can I have can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
I got this email from our supervisor, I think 3-4 weeks back. He said, okay, EC4 will be open for next semester, and then but we're not gonna go there all at once. So I just want to know what are your schedules, so in case I have some question, I can just run into you and be like, hey, how do you fix this?
You can ask every time that you want. You can just email me or any question. I will available. Actually, it's not.
Are you gonna be in EC4 for next term, or you're gonna be home like 5-6 days a week? Do you have your schedule finalized?
So
or no?
I will stop the recording, right? So
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.